Hello! So last week we've done our bullet journal with lots of hearts for the shortest month of the year, the most in love month of the year. And this week we make our weeklies that are also very much in love. And you can take them as an inspiration what to do with somebody you love. Or you can try a bunch of different poses that you could do with your friends or whoever is in your life and you really like. I always thought that February could also be the month of love in general, not just the romantic love, although I definitely have nothing against this one as well. If you like this concept, give me a like and subscribe for more arty crafty bullet journal fun and more nature journaling to come in March. Now on to the February Bujo. So last week we set up this very heartfelt monthly Bujo, and this week we'll continue with the in-love theme for the weeklies. But for those, I didn't want hearts all over the page because I need space for writing and I like my layout to be a bit more flexible, so I usually don't put any boxes for the days. But if you like the frames around each day, you could also, of course, fill the entire page with stamped hearts for the weeklies as well. For the first week, I drew the same little couple that was kissing on the cover in a pose where he's carrying her in his arms. I know what boys will think, it must be really hard to hold her like that. But bear in mind, we do acro, so this doesn't feel so unrelatable to us. But of course, you do you and choose a pose that you really like. I'm drawing with my technical pen, which is like a sustainable form of fine tip pen, only it has a metal nib. The ink is waterproof and that's the only objection here, because I want to color it with watercolors. If you choose color pencils for the task, you could get away with water-soluble pen for the outline. Or you could color first and then outline if you prefer. I like to draw my lines first to give me some guide. You can call it a crutch or a style, whatever you like. The Bujo doesn't have watercolor paper, so layering is pretty hard on these pages. Therefore, shading is minimal and done all in one layer, which is not ideal for watercolors, but I'm still in love with them, so there you go. I wrote the acronyms for the days in those puffy letters and drew hearts for the details, and the page is done. I'd love to know which pose you'd choose for the middle. I really like the circular layout because it's so free. There's always space in one corner for some odd writing I need to write down or for a to-do list in the center. I saw there's not so many circular designs circling around the internet, so I hope this will fill in the gap a little bit, since I love them anyway and there's at least one of them in every month that I draw. Which is your favorite layout? Each has its perks. Horizontals are probably the most intuitive, vertical can look really sleek and elegant, circular are great for chaotic minds like mine, and so are the scatter ones that you'll see at the end of this Bujo. The next page has a vertical layout with an illustration at the bottom. For this I chose a different font because I wanted a nice solid row at the top to balance the illustrations on the bottom. And the puffy letters would be too big to fit the whole words in. At the bottom is a couple talking and daydreaming while lying on their bellies and gazing into each other. You know, the classic movie scene. I don't know if other kids still do that, but mine do, so that was my inspiration. Have you done that as a kid? I remember daydreaming lying on my belly at the seaside or when we were at grandma's on the pastures. These days I don't daydream that much, life, and I certainly don't do it lying on my belly, but maybe I should start. They say that this Sphinx pose is very healthy for you. My daughter recently decided she will only read in this pose as this diminishes the number of places where she can read. Yes, I know I'm lucky that they love to read and that we have this problem. But it's a very good habit to read in healthy, not hunched over poses. I'll be very happy if she doesn't do as we do. In retrospect, I see I forgot to draw the other arm, at least in part for the girl. The overlapping limbs can be so challenging, at least for me, but I can add it later. As I've said before, just because you've already started using a certain spread doesn't mean you're not allowed to change it anymore. Sometimes I add to it or correct it, and sometimes I just let the mistakes go by. That's a good habit to form too. Do you ever go back and fix the spread once you've already started using it? It might be fun to add as the week progresses. I have to try that. This spread seems a bit empty, and once I fill in all the things that need to be there, I'll see how much space I have left to play and use it. The third page has a central layout with the third font, which is very easy to write. Just fatten the vertical part of a letter and that's it. A couple in the middle are warming up together, or you could say they just rushed into each other's arms if you prefer. We're not very good at warm-up, to say the least. I tend to skip it and warm up by doing the lighter stuff. And that works for me, so don't judge, okay? But it would be probably a good idea to find some cute partner warm-ups. That way we might actually do it. So I might research some ideas when I get to this week. So this is my visual reminder. Whenever we teach acro, I come up or find some interesting warm-ups, but I always forget them by the end of the class. I have to start writing them down, or maybe even better, sketch the poses, like sketch notes. Would you like to see that? That would probably motivate me to do it. I know they say that you should be intrinsically motivated, but for me the fact that something helps someone else is a huge factor, simply because otherwise other tasks that help someone take over. The last page is my favorite and has some of our favorite poses that translate to this substrate. Of course there are others, but let's not get into that. Yes, you see this right, I have messed up the daily titles. Now they're in 2 languages. I probably would have never noticed hadn't I recorded and edited the video. I hope it's not too distracting for you either. I like the font though. Here you can choose from 7 different cuddling poses, and of course you can add yours and pick and choose which one you prefer. What are your favorite cuddling poses? I must admit I have never asked myself that question before I was doing this spread. It can be a nice conversation with someone with whom you like to cuddle. I will definitely ask my male and my kids what are their preferred cuddling poses and see how many I got right. I know Valentine's can be very commercialized. We live in Europe, so it's not so popular here, but if we use the outside stimuli for something good, every holiday will be nice. Now, I'm not saying it won't be overwhelming. I'm not a magician, as my doctor once told me when I wanted her to do something so that I'd be able to go to work. But nevertheless, if we choose to not see the garish red hearts in the store as an attack on something authentic, but rather as a reminder, oh yeah, what could we do together, or what fun conversations could we have, we'll all be happier. There's nothing wrong with red hearts and plishes if you don't have more than enough of them already. But I kept the plishes that boys gave me in my teens, and later my kids played with them. Some were their favorites. All well in the end, right? As the last touch, I just highlighted the daily titles because the page seemed a bit bare and thin letters got lost, at least for a nearsighted me. And now the final flip through. I'm showing you the whole month because the weeklies tie into the monthlies. I hope you like this one. I really appreciate your feedback in any form. I'm the one who gets motivated by feedback, what can I say? I know these spreads are a bit more challenging to draw, but you could use stickers for the people or trace the poses if you're not confident enough to just sketch them. You can find the picture on your phone, enlarge it to the desired size by zooming, and then put the phone underneath the paper and trace it. Just take care that you press really lightly with your pencil. It should work fine. Our phones have been through much worse, I can imagine. There's no wrong way in bullet journaling. This is a nice small creative outlet for you, and no one else needs to see it if you so choose. I kept my first Bujos private and I just learned. Later, when I gained some confidence, I started sharing it online, and guess what? People are very kind. Either they don't comment or they say something positive. Usually, bullet journalers are very kind, so don't worry. It doesn't need to be perfect, and no one will call you out on the lack of anatomy here, I promise. I hope to see you next week. I come in every Friday. Bye-bye!